Let's take a look at the Open Camera app. So here I'm going to open it. Let's make sure to have our phone in landscape position, and here you will see on your right the various icons of the ways in which you can use your camera. Here I put it on video because that's what we would like to explore. So the user interface is very simple. You can switch the camera here with the very small icon that you have up above the video one, and then you have the various controls. Here the first is exposure. So here you can change the ISO and the exposure compensation. Basically you can decide how much light you want to get in your picture. Then you have the exposure lock that basically locks the settings that you have put for your exposure. Then you have the pop menu, which basically is a pop-up menu of all the other controls, especially regarding flash and focus. So the flash, you can basically choose between off, auto, on, and torch mode, which will help you lighten your object as best as possible. And then you have focus. Basically, these are the controls for the focusing method. There are many options, so let's just see them all together. The first here is auto, so basically the camera focuses automatically on your subject. Then you have infinity, in which the camera will focus on objects far away. Then macro, which is kind of the opposite because it's similar to autofocus, but it's optimized for close-up objects. Then you have locked, in which the camera doesn't focus unless you manually touch to focus. Then you have EDOF, which is basically extended depth of field, and it's focusing digitally and continuously on your subject. And lastly, we have continuous, which is the default kind of focus mode on this app, and the camera focuses continually, and this is generally the best mode because the preview will always be in focus and you will shoot videos with an already established focus. Now, you can still manually change this and touch the screen to change the focus. Now let's move on to the other features of this pop-up menu. And you have the auto level that you can tick, and it basically enables the auto level features for videos and photos, and it's only available if your device has enough memory, so keep that in mind. Then we have the video resolution, which, as I said, it's always advisable to keep at 1080. Then the speed, which is basically a tool that allows you to record video at either a faster rate, so a time lapse, or a slower rate, which is a slow motion. So note that the slow motion is only available on some devices and also requires a feature that is called the Camera 2 API to be enabled. To get this feature, you should root your phone, which is not something that is super basic. So for the purpose of this tutorial, we will work on a phone that is not rooted. Then we have the timer that basically sets a timer for shooting videos, and it's also available under settings. Then we have repeat, which is basically a tool that allows you to take a repeat set of photos when the take photo button is pressed. Then we have the grid, and basically you have a choice of grids for the camera preview, and you can also choose this under settings, on screen, GUI, and then show a grid. Now the last three settings that we can edit on this pop-up menu are the white balance, scene mode, and color effect. These three allow you to have the most accurate color balance possible in your video. So here, if we click on white balance, you have many options like auto, incandescent, fluorescent, daylight, and cloudy. And the same goes for scene mode and color effect. Keep in mind that these last two effects, scene mode and color effect, will be able to work only on Android phones that support scene mode and color effect. Now let's open up the settings so that we can see a little better what we are going for when we want our video. So now that we are in settings, we can choose to edit our camera controls, but most of all, we are concerned with our video settings. So it's very important for us to understand what we can modify. Here we can modify the video resolution. I have put the highest that we could possibly have. Then the video stabilization that allows you to reduce the shaking in your framing. And then, very, very important, we can change the video bitrate and the frame rate. A video bitrate is the number of bits that are processed in a unit of time. So, the higher your bitrate number, the better your video quality will be. However, the space that you're recording will occupy in your phone memory will also be greater. Differently, the frame rate refers to the frequency with which every frame appears on a display. Since we are in Europe, it is advisable to choose 25 frames per second in order to avoid distortion due to European lights that flicker and tend to interfere with video quality. If we had the possibility of adjusting the shutter speed, as we would on a professional camera, we would also opt for 1/50th of a second for it to get the best video quality possible. Another very useful feature that you can change on settings, which also has a huge impact if you're working with social media, is the maximum duration of video. And this option can be used to set a maximum duration of the video, and if set, this video recording that you are going to take will stop after the specified time and restart. And this is something that you can do with restart video after max duration. At the same time, you can also edit the maximum file size of video and then also change the audio settings for your recording. You can modify the audio source, the audio channel, and you can also decide not to record the audio in your video, which is very important if you want to add an external source for that. You can lock the screen when recording your video, add subtitles, go for 4K, but this doesn't work on all devices. For example, the P7 doesn't have a 4K option for video. And also other minor features like critical battery check or flash while recording video. So this was an overview of the Open Camera app. I hope you found this video useful, and thank you very much for watching.